Alright, much Abrew about nothing time. Playing some Tezzerator in Modern. And I think this is fine. Vault Scourge, hopefully get a land for Thirst. Black Sun Zenith, kinda hit or miss depending on the matchup, but we can always discard it to Thirst if we need to. So we'll keep this. So Curse Catcher for our opponent. Aye. Okay. Explosives could be good. Let's just Darksteel Citadel and run out our Vault Scourge, paying 2 life, and chip the turn. Mutavault for our opponent, and attacks? Okay, well, we will take the bait, trade off with this Curse Catcher. And Spreading Seas, that's actually kind of helpful for us. So let's swamp and just engineer explosives X2, kind of preemptively. 2 is where most of our opponent's lords are going to be. So if we leave this sit on 2, it's going to keep our opponent from just playing multiple lords of Atlantis and so forth. And then hopefully Black Sun Zenith can clean up whatever's left over. Oh, thank you for the Spreading Seas. Funny thing is, it's still an island. Ooh, our opponent just plays a lord right into the engineered explosives. Well, Polluted Delta. Pass the turn. See what our opponent does. Ideally, we'd be able to Thirst here and start finding some action, but we'll see. Fires up Mutavault. And gets in with both. Alright, I think we just take it. Drop down to 14. Curse Catcher. Alright, let's sack Polluted Delta. Get... Oh... Let's get a Swamp. And then Thirst for Knowledge. Discard Vault Scourge. Get a whole bunch of lands. Opponent passes. We get a Time Sieve. Let's Verdant Catacombs. Pass the turn. Opponent fires up a Mutavault. This might be the time where we have to blow our engineered explosives. Yeah, crack engineered explosives. Get the Lord. Ooh, opponent Vapor Snags their Lord. Okay. Well, crack Verdant Catacombs. Get a Sunken Hollow. Untap. Ugh. Well, let's Thirst for Knowledge. We gotta hit some action here at some point, or we're gonna be in trouble. Another Engineered Explosives. Jeez. Let's just discard 2 Darkslick Shores. Play an island. Play Engineered Explosives on X2. And pass the turn. We've done a lot of digging and haven't really found much. We've just drawn lands, essentially. Wandermine Hub for our opponent. Reveals the Lord of Atlantis. Plays the Lord of Atlantis. So they're going to be able to hit us for a bunch here. And we haven't found an answer to that Mutavault. So we're taking 5 down to 4. We might just be dead from just not drawing anything. Opponent gets in with both. Down to 4. We draw a Vault Scourge. Well, let's Thirst again. Discard an artifact. I guess our Time Sieve. Darkslick Shores. Pass the turn. So we might just be dead. That was a very bad top of our deck. We just Thirst for Knowledge, into Thirst for Knowledge, into Thirst for Knowledge. And our opponent's drawing their lands now. If they can play a 3-mana Lord and fire up Mutavault, then we're dead. Alright, we're going to live one more turn by the looks. Opponent attacks with everything. We crack Engineered Explosives. Drop to 1. Another Lord of Atlantis. Well, we need a Ghost Quarter, I think. Sword of the Meek. Island Walk. I think this means we're dead. Black Sun Zenith would be 5 mana. Or I'll say counter it with Curse Catcher. Yeah, alright. Well, that was some pretty bad running for us. Alright, Merfolk. We get Disfigures. And we get an Ensnaring Bridge. And what do we go down? Maybe a couple Mana Rocks and Time Sieve? Try it like that. Yikes. This deck has not been as good as I was hoping. Alright, we get to play first, and... Alright, I like this hand a lot better. This is pretty good. We get a Disfigure. Yeah, this is good. So let's just turn one a Vault Scourge. Gotta pay the life. But hopefully we can gain it back. And pass the turn. Island for our opponent. And passes. Let's get in 4-1. Gain our life back. Play a swamp. Start ramping up. And pass the turn. We also might be able to keep from getting an island on the battlefield, which is nice. Harbinger of the Tides for our opponent. Gonna bounce our Vault Scourge. And passes. We get Academy Ruins. So let's Thopter Foundry. Vault Scourge for 2 life. Verdant Catacombs, pass the turn. This way we get to leave up Disfigure mana in case our opponent taps out for a Lord. Silvergill for our opponent. We're also a Sword of the Meek away from winning, which is nice. Opponent gets in for 2. And there's Silvergill. Reveals a Curse Catcher. And there's a Curse Catcher. Okay. So crack Verdant Catacombs. Get a Godless Shrine. Tapped. We draw an island. So Executioner's Capsule. Academy Ruins. Pass the turn. We could also just try to go shoot our opponent's stuff down with Executioner's Capsule. 1 a turn. For infinity. Tech Edge for our opponent. Going after our Academy Ruins. So let's tap it for a mana. Alright, opponent goes to combat. Swings with the Crew. Well, let's block this Silvergill Adept. And then Disfigure Harbinger. Opponent's down to just a Curse Catcher, and we still have an Executioner's Capsule. There's a Master. Lord number 1. Let's see what we draw here. Watery Grave is not really what we were hoping for. But Watery Grave, tapped. Pass the turn. Cavern of Souls for our opponent. And Kira. Alright, that means we need to kill Master. Opponent. Alright, well, let's sack our Mana Rock, get a Thopter, and kill Curse Catcher. Alright, come on, good draw here. We need some action. Godless Shrine, tapped, pass the turn. So much for action. Mutavault for our opponent. Regerie. Opponent's down to 2 cards, but we're at 0 cards, essentially. Opponent could be leaving up counter mana as well. Well, might as well cast a Vault Scourge. Pass the turn. Well, we're getting pretty close to sword or bust. Our opponent can hit us for a ton of damage here. Like 7? Oh, that's a Master. Never mind. Now we're on... I don't even know if Sword does it now. I think we need Black Sun Zenith and our opponent to not have a counter. And our opponent's leaving up that double blue, suggesting counter magic. Down to 9. Well, that's Sword. So, Island. Sword of the Meek. I'm unsure if this actually saves us, so... It might? Oh, really? Remands. Sword of the Meek. I guess it depends on what's in our opponent's hand. Oh, so close, but so far. It looks like it's going to be 1 turn too late. Any Merfolk taps down our Vault Scourge and means we lose. On the other hand, if our opponent does not have a Merfolk, we're still in the game. We need our opponent to essentially have like lands and counters. Opponent goes to combat, does some attacking. Well, we might have a chance here. I guess our opponent could also have like Vapor Snags. We saw one in game 1, and that would also pretty much ruin us. There's the attack. So we sack our Sword of the Meek, get a Thopter, get back our sword, gain a life. And sack our Sword of the Meek, do the same thing. Then we block, block, block. Down to 6. Opponent passes. We get another Thopter Foundry. Alright, let's get in for 2. Pass the turn. Let's see if this can do it. Island Walk Lord is still pretty bad. Pretty bad. Tech Edge. I guess that puts us down mana, but doesn't really kill us. That means we can make less Thopters, essentially. Here comes a Merfolk. Another Master of Waves? Whoa. Oh. Alright. Full price Silver Gill Adept. So our opponent likely has a land in hand. They tapped in a way that, well, I guess if they have a land in hand, they could play it Lord. We can gain 6, make 6 Thopters. Activates Mutavault. Goes to combat. Alright, swings with tokens and Mutavault. Well, let's do our combo. Sack sword, get back sword, gain a life, get a Thopter. So we gotta do this a bunch of times. Maybe this can actually win us the game. We faded that one draw step, so it could be possible. We're slowly whittling through our opponent's creatures, which is good. And I don't think we're really going to take any damage this turn, which is good. Still, an Island Walk Lord represents a ton of damage, and we haven't drawn removal. A backup removal spell would be nice. So, up to 7 Thopters. Then we block, 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 and block. Our Thopters are pretty disposable at this point, since we can always just make more. So I think it's worth throwing a ton of them in front of that Mutavault. And our opponent scoops it up. Alright, we are a game away, somehow, from beating Merfolk. Okay. Yeah, let's run it back. I mean, we got the combo. We need removal. Removal and combos. Well, sure. This is alright. We got Executioner's Capsule, Vault Scourge, and a Foundry. So those are several of the pieces we're looking for. And a Dismember. So I think plan is turn 1, just Swamp and Executioner's Capsule. Pass the turn. So we got the first Lord covered with Executioner's Capsule. Wanderwine Hub for our opponent. Plays a Master. Alright, Verdant Catacombs. And I think we're just going to kill it right now. Not take a chance with Vapor Snag or anything. Just get rid of the Master for good. So crack Verdant Catacombs, grab a Swamp. Executioner's Capsule, get rid of Master. Pass the turn. And we still have the ability to just draw into our Sword of the Meek. Ether Vial. Not too threatening. Ooh, and a Zenith. Well, that's just full price a Vault Scourge, no life. Opponent remands. Well, in that case, Sunken Hollow and Vault Scourge for life. Pass the turn. Vials ticking up for our opponent. 2-1. Another Wanderwine Hub. Reveals a Lord of Atlantis. So we're going to want to deal with that at some point. There's Lord of Atlantis. And opponent passes. Ooh, that's an Engineered Explosives. Well, let's attack with Vault Scourge. Play Verdant Catacombs. And just pass the turn. Vial, ticking up. See what our opponent's plan is here. Might just dismember this Lord of Atlantis. If they do nothing, then we might not. Okay, let's take 2. Down to 16. Cavern of Souls for our opponent. On Merfolk. And opponent passes, so crack Verdant Catacombs. Get Godless Shrine tapped. We draw a Thopter Foundry. So let's get in with Vault Scourge. Play, let's see. Let's play Polluted Delta. Play Engineered Explosives, X2. Opponent goes with Remand. Alright. Then let's pass the turn. Opponent vials in a Silvergill Adept to draw a card. Vial. Is it ticking up or staying at 2? Stays at 2. Plays an island. Only 3 cards left in our opponent's hand. Plays a Master of Waves. Okay. Makes a bunch of tokens. Goes to combat. Well, let's crack Polluted Delta. Get an island. This is a tough choice. Opponent has 2 cards. What we want to be able to do is win with a Wrath. We can go after the Lord. I think the plan is dismember the Master. Master down. Opponent gets in. Hits us to 10. Ooh, land. Land is super important here. So let's Engineered Explosives. X2. Does our opponent have a Remand? They do not. Alright. Play Polluted Delta. Get in with our Vault Scourge. So we are about a Tezzerator away from just winning. Or a Sword. Either one of those would be great. Vial. Ticks up. Yep, up to 3. Opponent goes to combat. Alright, let's crack Engineered Explosives. Kill all the 2s. Including our Vault Scourge. Curse Catcher for our opponent. Well, crack Polluted Delta. Go to 10. Get a Watery Grave. Tapped. Come on, Sword. Vault Scourge. So, play Thopter Foundry. And play a Vault Scourge. Pass the turn. And we still have this Black Sun Zenith in our back pocket for another Master of Waves or something. We also have the ability to block with Vault Scourge, sack it, gain a life, get a Thopter. Alright, there's Regery. Opponent's down to 1 card. Vials on 3. Oh, Sword of the Meek would be so good here. Lord of Atlantis for our opponent. Taps down one of our lands. Okay. Gives the team Island Walk. So the big scary thing here would be a counter. So he takes 6. Down to 4. Opponent passes. We get a Mana Rock. We attack with our Vault Scourge. Go up to 5. Zenith X3. Whoo! Alright, pass the turn. Staying alive somehow, some way. It would be nice to just draw the sword and finish this off now before our opponent gets to recover. What's our opponent find? Master of the Waves? Oh, it's a Silvergill. Full cost Silvergill. Our opponent's also getting low on time for some reason. There's a Silvergill. Draws our opponent a card. What do we get? Ghost Quarter. Well, let's play our Mana Rock. Play a Thopter Foundry. Pass the turn. Oh, we need a Sword or a Tezzerator. Those are what we're missing here. Mutavault for opponent. Dies to Ghost Quarter. Goes to combat. Well, let's sack. Get a 1/1, go up to 6. Come on, big draw. That's a pretty big draw. Tezzerator, Agent of Bolus. Resolves. Take it up, look at the top 5. What do we find? There's Sword of the Meek. Alright, Sword of the Meek in hand. Play Ghost Quarter, pass the turn. No Sword of the Meek this turn, Sword of the Meek next turn. This is it. If we live one more turn, we're going to win. We have the combo. We have the Tezzerator for the damage. So if we can just somehow, we got Ghost Quarter for the Mutavault. I think we're going to do it. I think we got there. Even if our opponent counters a Sword of the Meek, we're still okay. Wow, this was a really close match. Super, super close. Opponent goes to combat and passes. Okay, so let's Sword of the Meek. Darksteel Citadel. Do we even go for the win here, or do we just wait? We probably should. So, sack our Sword of the Meek. Make a Thopter. Sack our Sword of the Meek. Make a Thopter. So we just make a bunch of artifacts and then go drain with Tezzerator for the win. So right now we have 7 artifacts. 8 artifacts. And 9 let's leave that one. And then let's just Tezzerator. Double drain. 16. Do we get it? Opponent. Oh my god. Oh my lord. Alright, well I guess we shouldn't have done it that way. So we're at 10. Oh, pass the turn. Oh my goodness. Hercule's Recall. Could we lose from here now? I mean, it seems like we're probably still okay. We just set up the combo again next turn, but we lost our Tezzerator to that Hercule's Recall. Maybe I should have expected that and seen it coming. Mutavault for our opponent. Goes to combat. Swings with both. Well, let's get rid of the Mutavault. Drop to 8. Play a Thopter Foundry. Play a Sword of the Meek. Play Darksteel Citadel. Pass the turn. Oh, Ether Vial taking up. Multiple Hercule's Recalls could be bad. And our opponent scoops it up. Wow! Well, despite that blowout Hercule's Recall, we got there. Good lord. Oh, alright, so it is possible to win with Tezzerator.